Need a tissue? Need a tissue. Need a tissue? Welcome to the front entryway of my home. This is where I keep my purse, and it's a great place for me to just grab the purse and head out the door because I'm a busy person and I just kind of swoop in. Lately, I am adding something new to my purse, and that is tissues. I'm using a lot of tissues this time of year. I am a mom, I have kids that sneeze or have runny noses, or they're great for spills if I need to clean something up, or even if I am having, a moment where I need to dab my eyes because I'm saying goodbye to my children. I'm still very sentimental. Anyways, I'm carrying a lot of tissues this time of year, and I noticed that these packages, they're not very aesthetically pleasing. They're not pretty. They're just not. They're convenient. They're convenient, but they're not very pretty. So I thought it would be fun to make a little holder to place the tissues in. And they are so cute. Oh my gosh, they're also very giftable and sellable. I used to sell these and people just love them because it is aesthetically pleasing. It is beautiful. It's fun. It just gives you those vibes that makes you smile. So how it works is on the back flap. So here's the front. Pretty little flowers. Here's the front. On the back, we're going to be adding Velcro. So you have your tissues. There's a little hole in the front. Place the tissue on the inside. Poke the tissue through the front hole. Seal it on the back. And you're good to go. You can place this in your purse, you can place this in your desk, in your car, in your gym bag, in a drawer, or just even have it placed out on the counter because it's so cute. The level of this crochet project is for an absolute beginner crocheter. We are really just working single crochet stitches. Couple decreases on the top for the flap, making a border that I'm going to walk you through the whole thing, so not to worry. And then we're just joining the sides. That's it. The flowers, I'm showing you both ways. There's 2 flowers that I'm going to show you in this video. Super cute, work up really fast, and they're super easy. So I think the thing that might take the longest of this video is just that I'm really showing you how to do everything. I'm walking you through how to do everything, as well as I'm showing you 2 different flowers that you can either add to this, or you can take these flowers and put them on whatever you want. So it's like a bonus of 3 crochet projects in one video. So if after I'm done with this tissue holder, you're like, I don't want flowers, it really will end early for you. So I hope you enjoy it though. The terminology I am using is US terminology for all the stitches. So when I'm explaining to you how to do the stitches, it's all done in US terminology. The dimensions of this tissue or facial tissue holder is 5 inches wide, 2.5 inches tall, and 1.5 inches like deep or this way. So 5, 2.5, 1.5. And that's it. The pattern you can find on my website, crochetwithtiffany.com. I'll have a link in the description section and comment section. That way you can just click on that link. It'll take you directly to my pattern for this on my website, where you can click on it, purchase the pattern, print it out. You're ready to crochet with me. When you're ready, let's go ahead and go over what materials I used to make this facial tissue holder. The materials that I used for this Kleenex holder includes a very special yarn. So this yarn I am using is a 100% mercerized cotton yarn. This yarn feels and looks like cord, which is super special. I'm very excited about it because when we use the Velcro that we're going to use to attach the flap, the Velcro does not really stick to or attach to this yarn, and even if it does, it's not ripping up this yarn, it's not destroying the stitches, it's not ruining the project. Literally, it's amazing, and I love, love, love this stuff. Super fun. Okay, so this right here is the yarn is Hobby Lobby's Yarn Bee Fundamental Cotton. I have it in the color olive green, coffee brown, peacock blue, ivory, it's like an off-white, and lipstick red. You do not need all of these colors. Really, honestly, you pick one color to be the main body of your tissue or Kleenex holder, and then I have 3 flowers that I'm going to be making in whatever color you want. I really liked the variety. I wanted to show you some options. There are more colors available at Hobby Lobby if you'd like to take a peek and see what else they got. So this is going to be amazing, super fun to work with. I hope you enjoy it. If you cannot get your hands on this yarn, substitute it out for a Lily Sugar and Cream or a Bernat substitute, Premier substitute, another Hobby Lobby substitute, which is just 100% cotton. That's what we are going for. Ideally, try to find a material that isn't going to stick or be destroyed by the Velcro if possible, or you can always substitute the Velcro out for a button. Options. Okay, so crochet hooks we are using. I have 3, and you might be like, Tiffany, that's a lot. Well, they all make something different. So the main body of the tissue or Kleenex holder, I used the F5 or 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. The flowers are the other 2. One flower uses an E4 or 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. The other flower requires a D3 or 3.25 millimeter crochet hook. I'm going to be showing you how to make both flowers because I really couldn't decide which one I liked best, and I figured how much fun would it be to include these 2 flowers. They're really quick examples that will be in the tutorial that you can really use and take to whatever project you want. So bonus right there. Okay, you're going to need a pair of scissors, obviously, a yarn needle or tapestry needle to weave in some ends, some buttons that I am using as decals on the front of the flowers as the center pollen section. It's super cute, a really adorable touch. You're going to need a measuring tape when we go to cut out the Velcro so you can make sure you're not cutting your strip too long or too short. It's great to keep it in dimension. If you are using a button, then you don't need the tape measure really. The Velcro I am using here, really just go to the Velcro section of your craft store and pick a Velcro that you want to use. The one that I am using here, it's really thin but really long. This is a black, it's 24-inch long strips, but it's 5/8 of an inch wide. That's what I got here, 5/8 of an inch wide, or 1.6 centimeters wide. That's what I'm using, but again, it doesn't really matter exactly what Velcro it is as long as you find a Velcro that you are interested in using, you'd like to use, and you could use that. Now when it comes to the Velcro, to attach the Velcro, we need to have sewing thread. So I have black sewing thread here, nothing special, nothing crazy. You don't even have to worry so much about the size of the thread as long as it will work to attach the Velcro. It's a big thing. And a sewing needle, obviously, to work with your sewing thread. What else do I have here? I think the last thing to talk about is the fabric glue. Now, fabric glue is optional. You don't have to use it. However, this yarn, because it acts and looks like a cord, it doesn't weave in ends very cleanly. Yes, I have tried weaving in the end one way and then doubling back and weaving back, but I still had a little flappy tail at the end that wouldn't disappear no matter what I did. Also, when it comes to the flowers, on the front, those tails at the end of the flowers, when I insert and attach the flower to the main body, I don't want to weave those tails into the main body of this Kleenex or tissue holder because that would be an eyesore and you'd be able to see those tails, those woven in sections, and it would be awful. So what I do is I add just a small little dot on the back knot of the flower, and then I cut the tails pretty short, and that glue, I'll rub that glue around the back so the knot stays secure. And you'll see how I do that. You'll see how little glue I actually use, but it is awesome for this particular material because this is one of those projects where just weaving in your ends is not very friendly. Okay, I'm going to have links to everything you see here in the description section and comment section below this video. So if there's something here you really want to get your hands on, just click on that link. It'll shoot you to the item that you can purchase online and have it shipped directly to you out of ease and convenience. Otherwise, go ahead and grab materials for your tissue holder and let's get started. Let's get started. So the color that I ended up choosing was the peacock blue, which I think is stunning and gorgeous, so I'm excited to use it. Starting with a tail long enough for us to weave in the ends at the end of the project, creating our slip knot, attaching our crochet hook. Awesome. We begin by chaining 22 chains. 1, 2, 23, 20, 21, 22. Great. Okay, for row 1, we are going to single crochet in the second chain from our crochet hook. So looking at our V stitches, got 1, 2, single crochet. And for row 1, all we are doing is making 1 single crochet stitch in every stitch space or every chain all the way across. We will end with a total of 21 single crochet stitches. 2, and last stitch here, 21. Perfect. All right, so for row 2 through the end of row 18, all we are doing is making 1 single crochet stitch in every stitch space all the way across. So for every row, we're going to chain 1, we will turn our work, and we will make 1 single crochet stitch all the way across. Every row, row 2 through the end of row 18, 2 through 18, will have 21 single crochet stitches in it. So definitely periodically check and count every stitch in a row to make sure you are staying on track. That way your work isn't caving in or fading outward. Definitely want to make sure it stays straight, okay? If you want to, you can also use the trick of stitch markers, placing 1 stitch marker in the first stitch space, 1 stitch marker in the last stitch space. That way you know that you have made it to that last stitch on both sides. It's just a helpful tip. All right, go ahead and keep going. I will meet you at the end of row 18 to show you how row 19 is different. Just finished row 18, and honestly, this is not a requirement for you to have on hand by any means, but I'm noticing that my skein of yarn is doing a lot of flopping. This particular yarn I don't think is friendly to pull from the center, which is why I've been working it from the outside. But I do have this tool that I decided that I really wanted to use and bring out, and that is just the yarn ball holder. So just take the skein, center of it, plop it right there, and now as I'm working, this will twist and I don't have to worry about it, catching it every time it falls off the table. So when it comes to row 19, that is where we are making the hole for the Kleenex or tissue holder so that we can pull the tissues out of. For row 19, we're going to chain 1, turn our work. We will single crochet in the first 7 stitch spaces, then we will chain 7, skip 7 stitch spaces, and single crochet in the last 7 stitch spaces. So this is awesome because it's 7, 7, 7. 7 single crochets, 7 chains, 7 single crochets. Let me go ahead and work it with you a little bit, and then after I do the skip, I'll let you finish off single crocheting to the end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, skip 7 stitch spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and single crochet in the last 7 stitch spaces. Awesome. All right, so that creates our little hole opening for the tissues. For row 20 through row 31, all we're doing is making 1 single crochet stitch in every stitch space all the way across. When we get to these chains, I like to single crochet over the chain opposed to single crocheting into the chain, but that's completely personal preference. If you would like to single crochet into the chain, maybe it helps you to stay on track, feel free to do that as well. So for row 20, chain 1, turning our work. I'm going to go ahead and work a little into row 20, and then after that I will just meet back up with you at the end of row 31. Finishing row 31 right here. Perfect. Okay, so we have this really cute little rectangular section with a nice little hole in it. that's where we're at right now. We are going to now work on decreasing our rows so we can make that cute little flap that will go over the top of the Kleenex holder right here, making this cute little flap. So that way it has this cute little angle right there. For row 32, we will chain 1, turn our work. For row 32, we are going to decrease single crochet the first 2 stitches, then make 1 single crochet stitch all the way across to the last 2 stitch spaces, and then decrease single crochet the last 2 stitch spaces together. Let me show you how I do that. So inserting my crochet hook into the first stitch space, yarn over, pull through, inserting my crochet hook into the second stitch space, yarn over, pull through, have 3 loops on my crochet hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on my crochet hook, and that is a decreased single crochet. And then just make 1 single crochet stitch in every stitch space all the way across to the last 2. We pause at the last 2 so that way we can decrease single crochet those last 2 stitch spaces together. And decrease single crochet the last 2 stitch spaces of row 36. We're not going to stop here. We are not going to cut our yarn. We're going to move straight onto the border unless you really want your border to be a different color. For the border, we're going to chain 1. We will turn our work. And it's just a one single crochet border, so it's okay that we turn our work and make the stitches opposed to needing to cut the yarn, tie off, reattach the yarn in another location, and keep the stitches on one side. Both sides of the work, you really don't have a wrong side or a right side. It's interchangeable. Okay, single crochet in the very first stitch space, and make 1 single crochet stitch in every stitch space all the way across. I have 1, 2, and 11. So 11 would be the last stitch space. That last stitch space is kind of a corner before it goes into this diagonal side of that flap. So in that 11th stitch, I'm going to make 2 single crochet stitches. So 1, same stitch space, 2. Great. Now here, how many rows do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 rows where I have a slant. I can count my rows if you're still unsure how to do that by looking at my work. These lines that divide out these stitches, we get those lines every 2 rows. So between each line is 2 rows. And I see here in this row right here, this row went all the way to the edge, but the next one up did not. So that's 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5. That's important, and let me tell you why. We're going to work in the side of the rows, and we want to make sure we're working 1 single crochet stitch in the side of every row. That second crochet stitch that we made here counts as 1 for working the side angle. Next stitch space, I'm going to go right here, find that decrease single crochet stitch and go on the other side of it. There's 2. Next stitch, 3, decrease right here, 4, and right here on top, 5. If you cannot see where my stitches are, that's fine. Just understand that there are 5 rows here, and my number of rows should be the same as your number of rows because we're working the same pattern here. So just make sure you hit 5 single crochet stitches on that slant, starting with that 2 single crochet stitches in the same stitch space. That will count as 1. So 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5. And the next stitch, that is another slant. See how we go from the diagonal to all of a sudden we're going vertical? So in this next stitch space, we are going to make 2 single crochet stitches. 1, 2. Great. And now we are going to evenly be working along the side of the rows. So I can shift my work this way. Now, like I said, we are working 1 single crochet stitch in the side of each row. Between each one of these lines, it's 2 rows. So you just need to make sure you can accomplish 2 single crochet stitches between these 2 lines here, every 2 lines. And then you're good to go. The first stitch here of the 2, so we made 2 single crochet stitches here. That first stitch counts as the side of this row. Right here, right at the top of that line. So next we have a whole section right here where it's 1, 2, and then 1, 2, and all the way down. If this doesn't help you, if you need to know the number of stitches you're going to need moving forward, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 31. 31. That's how many rows that we made before we hit the angles. So 31, go ahead and make your way all the way down to that very last stitch space. And I'll pause there, I'll meet you there so we can get around that stitch space. Here we go. Next stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 30, 31 would be that corner stitch that we made 2 stitches in. So that's 31. Okay, I don't know if you noticed this towards the end or not, but as I was working the sides of the rows, I was pulling my work. In pulling my work, it makes the stitch spaces bigger and easier to see. So if you need a little help seeing where you can place a stitch, just pull your work. That should help. All right, in that last stitch space here, guys, we are going to make 3 single crochet stitches. The first single crochet stitch will count as the last stitch for this side. The second single crochet stitch that we make in that same stitch space counts as our turning stitch to smoothly transition us to the next side of the work so we can start moving everything over, shifting everything. I'm going to keep the tail out of the work. I'm not going to crochet over it. I'm going to weave it in so it stays more professionally and more permanently in the work. And make 1 more single crochet in that same stitch space for a total of 3 single crochet stitches. That third single crochet stitch counts as our first stitch for this new side of the work. Now, when you look at this bottom side of the work, this is right off the foundation row. I am working my stitches into row 1 between the stitch spaces, and I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm going to demonstrate that for you. I am not going to work off of the loop because that loop was the foundation row, and I did not include the foundation row as one of my rows. So if I just worked off the foundation row, I would end up having a little bit of a bow here because I added a row, and that wasn't in the count, especially in the sides of the work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to work into row 1. I'm going to stretch my stitches out so I can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to place my crochet hook right here, like between the stitches, right there, and single crochet. Now you should get across this row, making a total of 21 stitches. So remember, the third single crochet of that corner was stitch number 1. So 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 18, 19, 20, and 21. It's important to count, that way you can make sure that you hit the number correctly and not assume, oh, I've hit the end of my row and then skip a stitch space, because that could be very easy to do in this project. In that corner stitch space, the 21st stitch space, make 3 single crochet stitches. And 3. shift your work. We are now working along the last side of our work. And again, we're going to work it the same way we did the other side, making one single crochet stitch in the side of every row all the way up to this corner bend. At the bend, make 2 single crochet stitches to get us that slight, nice transitional curve right there. And I will meet you here at the top to show you how we close off this row or this border. Again, if it helps you, stretch out your work so that way you can see, oh, here's a row, stitch, and down one, up, stitch, down one, stitch, stitch. You can also count, remember it's 31 single crochet stitches up to that bend, starting with that 3rd single crochet stitch in the corner. That's number 1. Right, I think I gave you enough information. Go ahead and I will meet you very soon. Okay, just did 30. It's at 31 we make the 2 stitches in the same stitch space. 31, and then there's 1, 2. Remember there's 5 rows working up the side here, so starting with that one that we just made, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Awesome! In the 5th stitch space, just go ahead and slip stitch into the very first single crochet stitch that we made to close our border. That's it, guys. Okay, what we're going to do next is just take our scissors, cut a long enough tail for you to be able to weave in the ends at the end of the project. We're not there yet. Take the tail, yarn over the tail, pull the tail through the loop on your crochet hook and all the way through for a tie off. Pull tight and it is secured. All right, so next I'm going to go ahead and fold it and join it. But I want to join it inside out. That way I can keep all the points of the join and all of the woven in ends showing on the inside of the work and not the outside of the work. So I want to look at my border. When you look at your border, look for those V-stitches. When your work is laying flat, do you see the V-stitches on the side? If you flip your work over and you look at the side, you'll notice, I don't see V-stitches. That's how you'll know. So make sure all the V-stitches are facing upward, so that way when we do our join, we're working it inside out. Flip the bottom, so where the flap is, leave that down. Where the corners are, the more straight, boxy side, we're gonna flip that on top and have it meet up with row 28. 28. So line that up with row 28. Awesome. If you want to, you can absolutely grab 2 stitch markers and place a stitch marker here to secure that end while we join, and a stitch marker here on this side to secure that side as we join. I'm not going to do that because I don't need to, but if it helps you to make sure that nothing shifts in the process of you joining the 2 sides together, do whatever works best for you, whatever will make your life easier. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut a strip of the same color yarn that I had for the border. And it doesn't need to be super long. I'd say probably at least 3 of the sides. So 1, 2, and back, 3. Just a little rule of thumb. Grab your yarn needle or tapestry needle. Thread that through. I am going to begin my join here at the top. Leave all the ends, don't weave anything in yet. I'm going to find row 28. I'm going to align the stitches. I'm going to take my yarn needle. I'm going to go through row 28 here on the side. I'm going to go through the corner right there, and I'm going to create a knot. Why did I do this? I did this because I know as I'm working down, while I'm joining down, eventually this is going to go ahead and level off to a point. But I'm controlling where it stops. if I were to start here at the corner and then work up, this may work up in a way that the top doesn't meet up with row 28 anymore. And so this is just kind of a little trick, so that way you know it's stopping exactly where we want it to and it's secure. To work the whip stitch, we're going to take our yarn needle, tapestry needle, insert it into the next free stitch space from the top inward, and then come to the joining stitch on the other side and come from the inside out, pull, then come back over, outside in, next stitch, inside out, pull through, bring it over, and continue all the way down, closing up this side. So I'm going to take my yarn needle, I came from this side, going to move it over, come back through, hold some of that yarn back with the loop, take that loop and twist it so it forms like this X shape. Take your yarn needle, go underneath that loop, slowly pull so that way you can guide and control where that knot will hit. There we go. Right, and then repeat on the other side. There we go. Perfect. Okay, let's move on to the Velcro. Okay, with the Velcro, I have both sides, the soft side and the scratchy side. Then I also need my black thread and my sewing needle right here. Now, if your Velcro is white, then just get the matching color of the Velcro. That's why I chose black. It's just because it matched the Velcro. Now, working this up, we're going to need to turn this tissue holder, Kleenex holder, inside out. So the right side, or the pretty side, is now facing outward. That way we can make sure we attach the Velcro on the right side, correct placement. Grab your measuring tape. Measuring the inside flap from corner to corner, I measure 2.5 inches. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my Velcro at 2.5 inches. And it doesn't have to be exact. Grab some thread. So I'm going to go ahead and take my needle. I'm going to take my 2 ends. I'm going to tie the 2 ends together. So I'm sewing with the 2 ends. Do 2 knots. There we go. To eliminate this Velcro, the scratchy Velcro, touching the yarn, the fiber as much as possible, I place the scratchy side on the main part of the work and the soft side on the flap. So let's go ahead and take the soft side and attach the soft side first because it's easier to sew this part. Taking your yarn needle and going through the corner. Feel free to go all the way through. And from back or outside to inside. Having the thread match the color of the Velcro will help it camouflage and disappear. I'm going to go ahead and take where I created a knot here in the thread. I'm going to place the needle between those 2 threads to secure that knot, so that way I don't have to worry about that knot being pulled straight through the Velcro. Done that before a time or 2. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to join all along the edges, sewing this Velcro onto the crocheted lid all the way around. Again, don't worry if you're coming through the outside. It's a dark enough color where it camouflages in, and it's okay. Got stranded behind, and I've made my way all the way around. Now to tie this off, I'm going to do exactly what I did with my yarn. Just come back through, holding back some string here, coming underneath the loop, and slowly fading it for a knot. And then I'll come back in and kind of weave in, but between the yarn section and the Velcro section, through, There we go. Tie off. Great. Okay, so there's one. Now let's do the other one. Second one. Now you can do two things. You can either count your stitches inward to make sure it is even, or just bring the flap down. Okay, that's where the flap will come. It's going to be right in line here. Okay, and then where's that flap lining up? Right about there. All approximations, it's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then attach this scratchy Velcro side to this part of the flap. We want it on this side so that way they match up and the flap will close. All right, go ahead and make your way around this section and then we will move on to making the flowers. Next thing we're going to work on are the flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and if you want to, you can secure that Velcro flap down. So cool, look at that, isn't that neat? Oh, I love it. And set that off to the side. Now the flowers, I couldn't decide which flower I liked more. So I'm going to go ahead and show you both flowers and you can decide which one you would prefer over the other. They both work up super quickly and I think you'll like them. So let's go ahead and get started with flower number one. With flower number one, I'm going to go ahead and use a red color and let's just have it be the luck of the draw with the crochet hook. This one. Okay, so the E4 or 3.5 millimeter crochet hook is the one that I'm using in this example. So this example is going to be for the 5-petal flower. Starting with the tail long enough for us to weave in the ends at the end of the project. Create a slip knot. Attach our crochet hook. Go ahead and start by chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch into that very first stitch space to create a ring or a circle. It's going to be a little tiny thing. Okay, so for the petals, we're just going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then slip stitch inside the circle. Slip stitch. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch inside the circle. There's 2. We're going to make 5 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch inside. There's 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch in the middle. There's 4. One more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch in the middle. Great. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put our work down right here. Cut the yarn along the line of the tail that we started with. We only need them long enough for us to join these flowers to the Kleenex or tissue holder. Yarn over that tail, pull the tail through the loop on your crochet hook for a tie-off. Beautiful. And that is our little flower. Isn't that cute? Perfect. So that is flower number 1. Flower number 2, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that up there. Flower number 2 is going to require the D crochet hook or the 3.25 millimeter. Okay. Next color, starting with a tail long enough for us to weave in the end at the end of the project. Slip knot, crochet hook. Great. Start by chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch into the first chain to create that ring or circle. Perfect. Now for this flower, I'm only making 4 petals. I'm going to start by chaining 2. 1, 2, and then I make 2 double crochet stitches inside the circle. One, 2, and then I chain 2. 1, 2, and slip stitch inside the circle. Okay, so that's petal number 1. We're going to make 3 more. Chain 2. 1, 2, 2 double crochet stitches inside that circle. 1, 2, and then chain 2 and slip stitch inside the circle. There's petal number 2. Chain 2, 2 double crochets. I crochet so tight that I end up bending this little itty bitty teeny tiny crochet hook. Chain 2, 1, 2, and slip stitch. There we go. Last petal, chain 2, 2 double crochet stitches. Oops, I dropped it. Double crochet 2, chain 2, and slip stitch. There we go. Great. Okay, grabbing our scissors, matching those up, yarning over the tail, pulling through for a tie off. Awesome. And then that is flower number 2. So I'm going to let you decide if you want to make both of them, if you want to just make one of them. So the 5 petal flower used the E4 or 3.5 millimeter crochet hook, and the 4 petal flower used the D3 or 3.25 millimeter crochet hook. What we're going to do with these little itty bitty teeny tiny buttons is after we attach the flower to the Kleenex holder, we're going to add these buttons where the pollen would be, or the center of the flower. It's a really cute touch. The way we're going to join these is by using our sewing needle and our sewing thread, just continuing to use that, and that's how I sew the buttons onto the center of the flowers and into the Kleenex holder or tissue holder. Okay, where I place my flowers. I like to place my flowers here at the bottom corner, and honestly it can be on any corner. If you want to, you can completely fill up this Kleenex holder with a bunch of flowers. That would look really, really cute. You could put your flowers here on the back if maybe you're seeing some of the black string that we use to attach the Velcro and you just want to attach some flowers here on the back to hide that. You can do that as well. You can go crazy with the flowers or just add a minimal amount if you would like as well. So I'm going to attach one flower to show you how I do it, and then I'll attach a button to show you how I do it, and then I think you're good. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach here. So I opened up the flap, taking my crochet hook, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull the straps in, or the tails in. So first I'm going to pull one. Great. Now I'm actually going to go ahead, because I don't want it to just kind of pull from the bottom. Grab my yarn needle. I'm going to go through the flower to the opposite side. So now I have one string, one tail coming from that side and the other tail coming from the diagonal opposite side. So when I attach this flower, it lays more flat and isn't one side heavy and then has this weird like flappy thing going on. Don't want that. And while I have this attached to my yarn needle, I'm going to see where I joined. That's where I joined. How do I want the flower to lay? Like that. Okay, inserting into the work, pulling through that tail, and then I can release because I don't need that anymore. Turning this inside out so I can see the 2 tails that I pulled through. I'm glad that they're red, different colors, so you can identify those, and I tie a knot. Now, the thing that I mentioned in the material section of this video, when it comes to these tails here, you don't want to weave these tails into the body of the work because they're two completely different colors. They would be an eyesore, they'd stick out like a sore thumb. It would be awful. So what I do is after I attach the button, I will use my Fabric Fusion and I'll put a little dot right there. So let me go ahead and attach the button and show you how I do what I do. Look at that little flower. Isn't that just the most adorable little thing? Okay. Trust me when I say start with the needle already inserted in the flower. It helps. It will drive you crazy trying to find that buttonhole. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the needle into the center of the flower right there. From the outside in, I'm going to hold some of it back. Find the button, bottom to top, and then top to bottom, and just kind of let it dangle and hang. Come back to the flower, see where did that yarn come, or that string come out of. Go diagonal, insert your needle into the work, come through, find where that tail was from the yarn that we're working with here. Right here. I have a knot here at the end. I'm going to insert my, I'm going to split them so it's easier to do this. Take my needle, go between, so that way I don't have to worry about one side of the string getting yanked out. And I'm coming back and I'm looking at where that button hit. And it's okay if it doesn't hit exactly where you want. It's in that corner, so it's a really weird spot. I'm going to reposition that button exactly how I want it to sit, where I want it to stay. And now that it's already there, it's easier for me to find it when I go back on the inside of the work. Just go from the inside through the button and through. And just do this a couple times to secure that button in place. Okay, so my cute little button is now secured onto my flower. Isn't that just precious? I think those buttons add a little extra something, a little extra something special to make this tissue pouch a little extra special. Okay, and then come back to the back of the work so we are inside out. The flower is right here on the inside. I'm inside out so I can tie this off. Again, going around my thumb, inserting it around a stitch, taking that loop, twisting it underneath. That was probably impossible to see, but I'm hoping that you heard what I said, and we've done it a couple times. So let me go ahead and do that one more time. So this loop, twist it, go underneath. There we go. And just kind of through those red knots and everything. Perfect. Okay, so the button is on. The flower is on. Let me show you. Everything is on. It's secure. It looks great. What I will do next, because I'm not going to weave in any ends, but I want to clean this up on the inside, so if I want to give it as a gift or if I want to sell it, that it doesn't look like a hot mess on the inside. But I can't weave these in because it's different colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them shortish. These little tiny nubs here. Go ahead and clean up the black strings too. I'm going to grab my quick dry Fabric Fusion Aleene's fabric glue. This is the only one that I like. This is the only one that I trust. This is the only one. So if you try to use a different fabric glue, a different, same brand but different type or something, and it doesn't work the way I'm saying it does, it's because it's not the same. This is the only one I trust. This is the only one I recommend. Okay. So I put just a smallest little dab there, and then I will come and I'll work those tails around it. Get the tails in the glue. It's quick dry, just like that. Let that dry. It actually is already, it's already dry. It's already dry, guys. And that's it. Okay, so I might actually blow on it, make it a little more dry before I added my next flower, or I'd add all my flowers first, then come back and trim everything and glue everything down, let it sit out like this for a little while till everything is really dry. I mean, honestly, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, and then flip it back to inside right, and you'll have the cutest Kleenex tissue holder ever. Only thing you have left to do, guys, is weave in your ends and add all the flowers, and you're done. All right, go ahead and finish weaving everything in, and you're done. All right, guys, that's it. That's how I make my facial tissue holder. I'm gonna be having this in my purse a lot this time of year. If you liked this project, if you liked this video, please push that thumbs up button. It's feedback for me that you liked the project, that you liked the video. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I have more fun, quick videos that are coming your way that you're not gonna wanna miss out on. Of course, check out my membership program if you want more out of my channel. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If you liked this project, check out this playlist I've made just for you of more fun, quick projects that you can play with. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I'll see you with the next one. Bye, guys.